Welcome to the fastest stop in town. Today we Masechtas Rosh Hashana Daf Vav. We are going to begin on Vav and Aleph about 10 lines from the top. Tanurbanan. The pasuk says Moises Seposecha. So what do we derive regarding this? Zu mitzvah saseh. This is telling us that there is a positive mitzvah that a person needs to bring their karbanos on time. If not, they have violated a positive commandment. Tishmor zu mitzvah lo saseh. So we now have an additional prohibition, a lo saseh. The asisa is an azhar lebeistin sheasucha kasher nedarta zen neder. So when it comes to v'asisa, you should do it. Rashi says al karchach makan azhar lebeistin l'koif. That beistin actually will force the person who says I'm going to bring a certain thing and they don't do it. Beistin can actually intervene. And as we just said, Kasher nedarta zen neder, Hashem elkecha, il chatos, hashomos, os shlomim, all the different karbanos. Again, if you promise to bring them, you have to deliver. Nedava kamashma'o, asher dibarta elu kochi bedekabayis. Also, if a person said that they were going to give certain things for the upkeep of the Beis Hamikdash, baficha, in your mouth, zu sadaka. And this is an extra drasha. So therefore, because of the extra word, we include any person who even just donates charity. That is enough that a person will have violated, again, these things. So Omar Mar, Motzas of Asecha Zumitzas Aseh. So lumily, why do we need this pasuk? We're learning out that when you go to the Beis Hamikdash, that's when you have to do your obligations. So we already have a pasuk to tell us this. Tishmor Zumitzas Aseh lumily. We already have a pasuk that says about loy sa'acher. It says it explicitly. So why do you need these psukim? So v'yasisa azhar lebeistin shiasucha, again lamali. Why do we need this pasuk to tell you that beistin should intervene, or actually they're supposed to intervene? Miyakriv oiso nafka. We're learning out from another pasuk, the Sanya. Yakriv oso, this is brought down in numerous places, in Kedushin Memtes, as well as other places on the side. Mulam shekayfen oiso. We can force the person to bring the carbon. Yachal bal karcho, what do you mean by forced? Even by forced? So Talmud Ritzono, he has to do it willingly. So haketzad, is it being forced, is it willing? So kayfen osad shir maraitani, we force him until he says, I want to bring it. So we already have a pasuk for that. So our answers, this is going to be question 7. Question 7, which asks, Lamali Kro Moses Vasecha Tishmor Lulav, typically Maloi Sa'acher. So that is a question. So our answers, Chad Di Oimer V'Loi Afrish, Chad Afrish V'Loi Akriv. So all these different psukim are talking about, even though they seemingly we already have psukim, but it's to tell us two different circumstances. One is a person made a statement, but they didn't even separate their animals. The other one is at least they were mafresh the carbon, but they didn't bring it yet. In both situations, there's a violation. And you need both. You can't learn out one from the other. There a person says something, but he didn't actually even separate. He did nothing. When you see this person is just literally not fulfilling his words, that's a problem. Let's say a person separated but doesn't makriv yet. We say that wherever something is, once it's already your mafresh, even if it's not in the hands of the gizbor, of the person, the Beis Hamikdash, no matter what, it's considered already theirs. So maybe you didn't violate anything. Sricha. So even though you're mafresh it, the din is you're still chayav. V'yashmin and afrish l'akriv. The problem is the kamash gabe. The problem is you're like withholding it. Like, why don't you just give it already, right? You shouldn't have it. If you're already mafresh it, then it should be given. So that's a problem. When it comes to the other situation, it's words. Maybe words don't really have the power to violate. Kamashmon, that even there. So me, matzas amr di oimer vo afrish. Is it possible to say we're talking about a case where he said and he wasn't even mafresh? But on the Davaksiv, we already know this concept when it comes to Nadava. That if a person says something and is not mafresh it, we'll see what the din is. Utanan. There's a famous in the Ein Bains and Sektas Megillah, which we'll get to soon. Ezu and Neder. So a Neder is Homer Harialai. First says it's upon me. It's upon me to bring a certain thing, an oil. The Ezu he Nedava, Homer Harizu. So specifically saying, I'm going to bring this animal as an oil. So Ma Bein Neder Nedava. So Neder Meso Nignav Chai B'Achriyuso. Because when it comes to a Neder, it's on the person, and therefore the animal that dies or was lost, okay, so you have to bring another one. You still have the obligation upon yourself. Nedava, where you're specifically saying this animal, so meso nignava enochai b'achriyusa. So in that situation, you're not chai b'achriyusa, because again, it was on this particular animal. So says Rashi, uvikra debal ta'achar nami Ravinin lebigzer shava meso nignav im hefrishu lachar zman. If let's say you were mafresh it after a amount of time, etc. So we already see these cases with regard to a nadava, this concept. So Rabbi mishkach going to amar hariolai oyla. Let's say a person says, I'm bringing an ola upon myself, al manas she'eni chayiv b'achriusa, on condition that I'm not chayiv b'achrayus. So says Rashi, so what happened? So we can find a case where he said something and he wasn't mafresh it, and it has an element of a nadava. Says Rashi, as we said, on one level he says horiolai, which usually means he's chayv achrayis, but he stipulates not. When I separate it, I do not want to have achrayis on it. Weiter. Baficha zu sadaka. So marava tzedakah mechayev will alter. You have to give it right away, which seemingly means that if you don't give the tzedakah that you pledge right away, you're actually going to be chayev al ta'achar right on the spot. My time to cook kaimaniyim, because you have poor people over here. Basically, what that means is you have people that are shaykh to get it right now, and therefore you have to give it to them because they are in need. And therefore, if you don't, then you're over. So pshita madutema kivan de binyan de karbanos ksiva ad de avrile gimel regalim karbanos kamash malan. So you would think that really, when it comes to karbanos, there's an element of the shalosh regalim. You have to wait all three, then you're over bal ta'acher. So maybe it's the same thing when it comes to tzedakah. No, hasam hu de talin hu rachman regalim. When it comes to karbanos, it's connected to the regalim. Avahacha lo dashchichianiyim, because the poor people are around. In other words, when it comes to a carbon, we don't require you to travel to Eretz Yisrael immediately to bring that carbon. You can wait until the regalim. But when it comes to tzedakah, they're right here, so therefore you should give it to them right away. Amar Rabbi kivan shavar lev regel echad over basei. He says that if a person referring to a carbon, if he did not bring it on the first regel, he's violated an aseh. Says Rashi, al carbon dechsiv uvasa shama vesem. So therefore, even the first Yom Tov, when you came, you're supposed to bring it. Meisvei frak the Gemara hey Rabbi Shua v'Rav Papus al Vlad Shlomim. They had a question regarding the offspring of a Shlomim. Says Rashi, shehifresh behema muberes, that you designated a pregnant animal, o ibra la'achar desha, or got pregnant after you were makdashit, shikra shlomim. So the din is that this vlad you should be makrit as a shlomim. Amar papas ani meit shahayisa lanu para shel zivche shlomim. That I'm testifying that there was a para of a shlomim v'achalenha, and it was eaten. But Pesach v'achalena vlad shlomim b'chag. So bin shlomim b'Pesach lo ak ravuha. I can understand why in Pesach not to be makrabit aimer the mechusar zman havi. Maybe it was a mechusar zman. Says Rashi shemalu obrolav shmoni yomim. Maybe it wasn't 8 days old, and that's the reason why they on Pesach you couldn't be makrabit. El vlada vatseres heiche mashule. The question is, how could he be pushed off another holiday? V'avrle basei, right? Because according to you, you're saying that even if you wait one regel, that you're violated an asay. So that's a problem according to this because, okay, fine. Regarding this particular circumstance, um, it says that he ate the Vlad Shlomim on B'chag, on Sukkot. So how was he able to do that if this took place on Pesach, and then the Vlad was only as a Shlomim on Sukkot? But okay, fine. On Pesach he couldn't bring it because maybe it was Mechusar Zman because it was just born. But you could have brought on Shavuos. So how is it possible that they would have violated it? So Amrav Zvid must be because it's probably not true. It's not one regal. So Amrav Zvid Mishmei the Rabba could go, and for example, as we continue to Vabel Beis, Shahaya Choyla Batseres. Maybe the Vlad was sick on Shavuos, and therefore for that reason, you couldn't shecht it. You couldn't. That's it. Ravashi Omer Mai V'Achlen Hu Vlad Shlomim B'Chag Diktani Chag Shavuos. When it says he ate it on the Chag, it doesn't mean Sukkos. It means on Shavuos, in order to alleviate that problem. The Idach Kol Hech the Tani Pesach Tani Atzeres. Whenever it says the word Pesach, it says Atzeres. In other words, it would say Shavuos. It would not say Chag. The fact that it said Chag really is mashma Sukkos. Umarava Kivan Shavalav Gimel Regon B'Chol Yom B'Yom Oiber B'Bal Ta'acher, which is unbelievable. If you violate Bal Ta'acher, it's not a one-time deal. After the Gimel Regon have gone by, every single day that you do not bring that carbon, you violated. Meisvei Echad B'Chor B'Echad Kol Kadashim. When it comes to all different types of carbonos, Kivan Shavalehim Shana B'Loi Regon. If, let's say, and we'll discuss how this is possible, a year goes by and there was no holidays. How is that possible? A year can go by without holidays. Regolim B'Loshana, all the holidays go by, but yet the year was not a full year. Oiber B'Bal Ta'acher, you violated B'Bal Ta'acher. Now V'Haimai Tiyufti. So what exactly is this? The question. So Rav Kahana Manika Moisev Shaper Kamoisev. Actually, he's asking a good question. Michti. Tana alavi komahader. So this Tana is going after the Ladim. So listening b'chol yom yom over b'mal ta'acher. He should also include the case that you violate every single day. So if he's trying to pile up Ladim, then he should mention this tremendous chiddush. V'idach Tana lemikboy b'lav komahader. This Tana is talking about when the Isser starts. B'lav yaseri lo komahader. He's not coming to explain future lavim, and therefore it's possible, it's true, you could violate every single day. Gufa. So let's get back to understand this difficult situation that the Gemara just kind of glosses through. Echad b'chor v'echad kol kadashim kivan shabalehen shana b'lo regolim. If a year goes by without the holidays, or going below shana, or all the holidays go by even though the year hasn't gone by, which makes sense. That makes sense because Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot all in the same year hasn't been a full 365 days. But once, if you make a neder before Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot, that's it. You violated Bal Tacher. So even though you had Regom without a Shana, how is it possible that you could have a situation of a year and no holidays? A whole year of 365 days, you're going to hit all the holidays. It's hard to understand. So Hanichlaman the Islay Kisidra and Mishkachasla. The one who says that it has to be in order, then Mishkachasla, then we could actually find this happening. Why? Because when it says regolim, it doesn't mean there's no regolim. It means the regolim in the proper order of Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot. So it's possible that a year went through, but you didn't go through this order, Pesach, Shavuot, Sukkot. So, for example, let's say you have the neder, I don't know, in the middle of the Sfiras Omer, right, between Pesach and Shavuos. So, next year, a year will have gone by, but the order has to start with Pesach. So you could actually have a full year, according to this. You will still be over even though the regolim didn't come all through. But at least we see that that's the case. The one who says that it can be in any order, so it's impossible, seemingly, to have a year without the 3 holidays. Now, maybe, according to Rabbi, we can understand when he says, and talks about a leap year. What is that? The Sanya. Shana Tamima, referring to a full year, says Rashi. So, Bishlam Rabbi de Omer Chodesh Ibor, Enu min Hashana, Chutz mi Yud Aleph Yoim, Sheshnas Chama Yisera al Holavayna, Mishkachas lo B'Shana Mubaris. So, we know that the difference between a solar calendar of 365 and a lunar calendar is these 11 days. Says Rashi, Shana Tamima, and this is referring to Bati Irichaima, the redemption of a house in a walled city. So, how long do you have to redeem it? A year. What's a year? So says Rashi, Moina Shin Samachay. We count 365 days. V'afil b'shana pshuta. Even if it's a simple year, which means v'af b'shana muberes, it doesn't make any difference. Kivan she'avru gimel meos v'shishim v'chamisha yomim. In that case, it's too late. So the point is that you could actually go through, as we're going to see, an entire year of 365. You can have 365 days, but nonetheless, that is a full year. But it may not be the entire 3 regolim, because if you have a Shana Mubaris, which has more than 300, because it's an extra month, so therefore it's possible on a leap year that you'll end up not hitting all of the holidays. So you can have a year and not all the regolim. So, Shana to me, Rabbi Yomer, Mana Gimel Meos V'Shishim V'Chamisha Yoim, Kimini Mos Achama, just like the sun. It's exactly 12 months, it doesn't matter. Now, the Im Nis Abra Shana, Nis Abra Lo. If, let's say, it's a leap year, it's a leap year for him. Mishkachas Lo Rebbe, the Akta Shabbosar Chagamatzos. Again, let's say right after Pesach, literally the day Pesach is over, you're Makdashit. Dechi Mata Shili Adar Basra. When it comes to this, now you have that year, you're going to have an other Shani. So it's going to be more than 365 days. Shana Malya, the year will have been completed. Regolim Molu. But when it came to Pesach, then Pesach didn't happen yet. Okay? Because again, the 6th of Sivan is after Shavuos this year. And before Shavuos the next year. So a year could pass without the Gimel Regolim. So you could say it that way as well, but however you want to make it. The point is that it's possible that because you have 13 months and you have a longer amount of time than a normal 365 solar year, because on Hashana Mubaris, the lunar calendar is longer because we have a 13th month. So we count the year by 365. So it's a year over, but all the regalim didn't take place yet. El Rabbanan Hechem Shkacha. So according to Rabbanan, they don't learn this drasha. So how is it possible? Again, a year can go by, full 12 months without them. So Gatani Rav Shami Aseres, when it comes to Shavuos, Pamim Hey, Pamim Shisha, Pamim Shiva. Sometimes it's 5, and sometimes it's 6, sometimes it's 7. Haketzad. Shnei Malayim. So what day of Sivan does it fall? If the previous months, namely Nisan and Iyar, were Malay, then Chamisha, then it would be like on the 5th, so to speak. Shneim Chaserim. If both of them are missing a day, so then that means Shavuos is 2 days later. It'll be on the Shiva on the 7th. Echad Olav, Echad Chaser, Shisha. So, Mantana de Polagaleha de Rav Shamya, Acherim he. The Sanya Acherim Oimrim, Ein Bein Aseres Aseres, Ella, Ein Bein Rosh Hashana, Ella Dalad Yomim Bilvad. The only difference between 1 year and the next is 4 days. V'im Hoisa, 4 days. V'im Hoisa Shana Muberes Chamisha. And if it's a leap year, a solar leap year, then it's 5. So if we think about um, the calendar. So that's basically what he says. Let's look at Rashi. According to this, there's always one which is complete, one is missing. We don't make any months extra or shorter. It's always 354 days. Nimsas kol shana shvoim shleimim. They're all complete weeks. If you think about 300 and then 54, so there's 350 times 7, or 7 divided by 350 is the amount of weeks, which is 50. So 50 times, again, 7 in the Jewish calendar, there's only 50 weeks. 50 weeks. And then 4 days. Chutz medalad yomim, vein hadoichin kviyas hashana mikviyas chaverta. So therefore, sometimes it's an extra, again, it's always an extra, it's a shift of 4 days, 4 or 5 days according to this. Ksavar chodesh ibor oil chaser, I said incorrectly. When it comes to Hashana Mubar, it's talking about the Jewish year, this is an extra Adar, so that's chaser. So it pushes off 1 day, so instead of 4, it's being 5. Okay, so let's understand this. All the test questions ask the same question, TB21 and question 8. So one answer is, we said that if, let's say, you're makdish after Pesach, and it's like the Mandi Armin that you need the 3 regalim Kesidron. So therefore the 3 regalim didn't come Kesidron. Alternatively, it's a Shana Mubaris. So there's an other Shani. According to Rabbi, he holds that we count 365 days. Ve'ein chodesh ha'ibor min amidyan. So therefore, because of that, it's possible that you can go through an entire 365 days, and yet you didn't actually go through all 3 holidays. Or kegon shahaya iyar b'tzivan chaserim, if iyar and sivan were chaser, which we said will make the Shavuos on the 6th of Sivan, v'hikdish l'macharas aseres, and your makdish right after Shavuos, vav b'Sivan, which is on the 6th. V'shana haba, next year, hayu shnehim aleim, both of them are complete. V'chal aseres b'zayin b'Sivan, and Shavuos will fall on the 7th. So it's possible if 1 year both days were chaser, and then you immediately afterwards you made the neder, and then the next year they were both mole, so the holiday Shavuos didn't take place even though an entire year went by. Okay, let's see the next question of the Gemara. So the Gemara says as follows: Boy Rav Zera, Yorish Mahu Babata Acher. If you inherited animals, and together the credit card debt of having to pay off certain loans, namely these karbanos, if you decide not to do it, have you violated Baal Ta'acher? So this is the logic. Ki sidr neder merachmana b'hol nadar. The Torah says the issue of Baal Ta'acher is when you make the neder. I didn't make the neder, my father did. So maybe I'm not over. Odilmo basa shama vesim shama b'hol mechayiv. The whole chiyuv is when you go to the Beis HaMikdash. So you're going to the Beis HaMikdash. So Tashma, the Tani Rav Chia, Me'imach prat l'yarish. So the din is that a yarish is not chayv. I thought we used that for a different drasha. So karibe imach v'karibe me'imach. So therefore the extra mem allows for this extra drasha. Boy Rav Zera. So now we have another question, which is going to be question 9 and TA20. Isha mahi bebal ta'acher. If a woman makes a promise and she doesn't keep it, what's the din? Is she violating bal ta'acher? So what are the standim? Mi amrinan halo kamachai b'bariya. The whole issue is going to the Beis HaMikdash. So there's no chiyuv of bariya, there's no chiyuv of her bringing an olas bariya, or to go to the Beis HaMikdash. Odilma ha'isa b'simcha. She has an obligation of simcha, which usually is talking about the Shalmi Simcha. there's an element of joy, and therefore there's a connection of Simchas Yom Tov. So therefore she goes to the Beis Hamikdash in that regard. So I'm going to buy a tepegle the ha'isa b'simcha. So why don't we just push it say because of Simcha, because she has to go. So mi omer Rabbi hachi mi omer Rabbi isha bal b'samcha. It's the husband's chiyuv to make sure that she is sameach. That, and how can he do that? So Rashi says in Babel, the bigdi tzivoinim, Beretz Yisrael, the bigdi pishtan. They gave, like, you're supposed to give nice, beautiful clothing, or encourage your wife to buy nice, beautiful clothing for Yom Tov. So the Rab Zera Kaimer. The whole question is not according to him, but according to Rab Zera. If you hold again that it's the husband's chiv of simcha, so there's nothing to talk about. But if the chiv is on the woman, so is she over baltacher? So the class the question: Bechor miyamasei moinin loy shana. A bechor, when do we start counting it as a year? So by omer misha shenoilad, it's from the time in which the animal is born. Rav Acha bar Yaakov omer misha shenira lahartza. L'pligi habatam ha bebal mum. So says Rashi, if it's a tam dekoy lahartza, now it's an animal that's fit to be brought as a carbon, mishenira lahartza, which is when it's 8 days old. Otherwise, it's a mechusar zman. So if the time that it's considered to have the din of counting it as a bechor, so that is from the time of when it's fit to be brought. That's what it means as a tam. That's fit to be as a carbon. But balmum, however, if it has a blemish, then it's totally from the time it is born. So Gemara says, balmum mi matzi achale. Can you eat it? The kimle be the kol chadashiv. That you were sure that it was going to survive and it wasn't a treifa. We're going to stop there. Let's just look at this Rashi. Balmum shenol b'mumoy. It was born with a mum. V'oymid l'shachet b'chutz miyom shenoilad. Hu roy l'kach u'moynin lo mishenoilad. Mi matzas achale b'yom shenoilad. How can you shecht it on that day? Dilma nefel havi. Maybe it's like a stillborn. Ve'en shchita metaharaso ad sheyisha shmoni yamim. You're supposed to wait 8 days. The shuv nafik le mechlal nefel. At that point, you can be rest assured that it's not a nefel, as it says toward the end of Masechtas Shabbos. Mishem Yil Oimer Kol Shishah Shloshim Yoyim Ba'Adam Eno Nefel V'Hema Shmoinim Yom. Shmoni Yom. When it comes to a child that's lasted for 30 days, is alive, that's when we do the pidyon aben. It's not a nefel, and also when it comes to an animal, it's 8. So the answer is that if you are kol bo chadashav, in other words, that you are confident that this animal is going to live, and therefore you are able to do so even before Adkan.